Between the Lines. Welcome, everybody, to Between the Lines here. My name is John Lofton. Happy that you guys are with us today. And today is going to be different. I try to give some variety in the shows here and try to figure out, what's going to happen and everything like that. So, but today is going to be all about the family. We've been having the show. We talk a little bit about politics. We talk about, church and everything else and everything like that. And so I thought it would be good just to, kind of chat with everybody and all of that, and kind of give everybody an overview of what's going on here in the family and what's going on with everything like that. So, yeah. But anyway, my goodness, I have producer Raven in the studio, and I appreciate her being here. And let's go ahead and go to that shot here. But yeah, I'm happy that she's here and happy that everything's kind of going well here. Now we're trying some new stuff today, so I feel a little bit distracted here. Sorry, my mind's a little bit. I'm trying to keep track of what she's doing and all of that. But anyway, we've been testing out some new graphics and everything like that, and so I hope you guys like it. Hopefully soon we're actually going to get some animations that are going to be a little bit better than some of these. But we're always working to improve the show. So Between the Lines, typically what we like to do here is we talk a little bit about, what's going to happen, a little bit of the show. I usually give a story. A lot of it's from my childhood, kind of how I grew up. And I do that because at the end of the day, this is kind of an editorial sort of thing. I always give an opinion. And when I give an opinion, I usually would just like to have some background with it. I want people to help understand my logic and how I came to the decisions or the opinions that I'm making. And I feel like, in today's case, it'd be good if you knew about the family, just the dynamic here. Learn a little bit about Raven. So her mic is open. So Raven, why don't you say hi to everybody and tell everybody how long we've been married? Because I forget sometimes. No, I don't, but I'm just trying to get her involved.
Hi. Been together for 6 years. Comes up this September. Almost feels like an eternity.
Well, luckily enough, God gives us a little bit of a break here. It's death till you part, right? So that sounded way bad than it is. I meant that in a good way. I was trying to make her feel better. Yeah, she's stuck with me until I die. That's the sad part about it. But I also want you guys to see the human side of us, like where I'm not so scripted. I don't necessarily have bullet points in front of me today like I normally do. Yeah, you can unpublish the little graphic there in the corner. We don't need the double BTL. People know they're listening to BTL. So real quick, a little bit about me. Yeah, there we go. I grew up half my childhood down in Memphis, Tennessee. And I kind of, I was just one of those kids who I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I kind of kept to myself. I listened to the radio a lot as a kid. And, my mom, I talked about this even last week. My mom worked 3 jobs just to provide for us. And, it was one of those things where, I either was at a sitter's house, I was at, our place, and when I was at our place, like our what we actually called our home, I spent a lot of time in my room because, well, I just didn't have any friends. I didn't have a lot of kids who liked me. And growing up with a, vision disability and I don't know. I guess I just small guy in a big city didn't really have any, I guess groups or people that I hung around with. Sort of felt like an outcast. So my refuge was always radio. And that's why I still do broadcasting to this day. I loved imitating the guys on the radio. I would sing just about, and I knew by like 8 years old, every song that was on the radio. I could tell you the top 40 by heart. I remember specifically when Casey Kasem, stopped hosting the American Top 40 even. And I can remember Ryan Seacrest and all that taking over. I remember that transition. And in fact, when I was still in high school, I did one of the most interesting reports I think I've ever done. And I still remember it to this day. I was really proud of this, but in high school, I decided I wanted to do a biography of Casey Kasem. And for those who don't know, his real name was Camille Alam Kasem. And he got started doing sports announcing for his, a high school. And, he kind of moved on from there. He was in the military, if I'm correct. And, he came back and he just was this like legend in radio for forever and ever. And obviously noteworthy for the American Countdown. And I always really liked that. I like countdown shows. To this day, I'll still listen to them on Sirius XM and all that. I don't know why. I just like them. I like hosting them. I like, being a part of them, and just doing that. But I kind of transitioned over to sort of this news and sort of editorial role. I think just as a way to express and finally feel like I have a voice to say something. And that's more than just, you're listening to, and I'll say the station that I just started up my own because I don't want to go into all that, but you're listening to Mixed Country 106. I wanted to kind of get out of that role just a little bit and actually show more personality instead of just reading a story or getting a minute clip to say something or having to, lead in and do a pad onto a 20-second lead into a song, a ramp, as we call it. And that's all the time I would get. And it gets shorter and shorter because in radio and music wise, people don't really want to hear the DJ. They want the music, and then they want the brief entertainment, like these blurbs, but you don't on air get to know the personality. And so that leads us to today. After all these years, after all this time in broadcasting, I would say as far as my professional side of things, that is the solace that I took, is just loving being on air, being not in front of a camera. I don't particularly like this part, but I like talking and I like expressing and sharing ideas and having good content that's entertaining and fun to watch. And that's kind of who I am. And I guess a big overview of how I grew up and why I am the way that I am. My mom always worked hard. My folks were split. And my dad, he was around, but, I didn't get to see him as often as I'd like. Actually, though, today, he and I have a much better relationship, and, we talk nearly every day. And it's been a little less this last week or so just because of my work schedule, but typically we do talk a lot. And for years and years, as long as I can remember now, into my teen years even. And that's been kind of a little bit about me. Now, turning the mic over to my co-host, Raven. I want her to kind of let everybody know a little bit about herself and how she grew up and some fun things about her. There we go. Raven, tell people a little bit about yourself here. See, she's a really good producer, but as soon as you throw a mic in front of her, she kind of gets a little shy, but I was trying to coach her beforehand. So you don't have to be super exciting, super fancy, but just tell people about where you grew up, a little bit about your family, and some of the things that, I guess, motivated you.
Well, I grew up here in Iowa. I'm a small town girl.
We actually rehearsed this. She's just super shy. So do you mind if I speak on your behalf here? I can tell you're really just struggling.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, I want everybody to at least drop a comment below and show some support, because she's really good at supporting me and what I do. And I don't want that to get lost on anybody. She's a rock. She is a solid place. She helps get the show on the air every week. So what she can't do as far as speaking on air, the whole idea opposites attract. Yeah, this would be a case for that. But she's really good. She's always reading, checking to see if we have any comments, and I hope we do. And plus, in the Facebook event, there should be a question in there for you guys, and it is public, so anybody can find this. So if you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to check over there. YouTube doesn't allow me to do those things yet because I don't have enough subscribers. I barely have any. So if you guys would feel so inclined to go and subscribe, we'd really appreciate it too. But anyway, so she's really good at getting the graphics and everything like that all set up. She helps do some of the research for the shows every week. We kind of talk about things. We plan the show out, so we kind of have a good idea of what we're going to do. She's the one sometimes who has to hit, the eject button at the end that turns the streams off. And so it makes it so that I can focus on talking to you guys more. And so for that, show her some love. Anyone who's watching, please give Raven a shout out and just show some support. All right. So a little bit about the family, right? You guys probably saw the thumbnail, and I'm sure, Raven, if you wanted to, you could probably go out and find some pictures here real quick to show people of the family, and just drop them on my screen here. And so a little bit about the family. The Lofton side, we're all Southern folks, and we generally grew up. We generally kind of grew up around the North Mississippi area, and my dad actually lived in Memphis, Tennessee for a while. And my granddad, who also was a big influence on me, he had a cattle farm. Well, not cattle. I shouldn't say that. To me, as a kid, I thought he had a big old cattle farm, and that's what I saw. I mean, he did have it, but I think they're technically the neighbor's cattle, something like that. Anyway, but I did get to interact with him, and he had an old tractor that I remember he used to let me drive, and it was just the best experience I could have had. And as much as I didn't have a social life during the week, I always loved going out to my granddad's place. I always loved to just be out there in the big open space. I'm not a city boy, not even a little like a city boy, not even. And so for me, living in Des Moines now, not that I despise or hate Des Moines, but I really just, I just don't care for city life. I don't like the traffic. I don't like the idea that just a couple weeks ago, driving down a more busy road than what you would see in a bigger city, and a car tails us, and I think they're tailing us, and then all of a sudden one person just jumps out in front of us, and the car behind us turns around, does a 180, and then they start chasing that guy. And I'm just thinking, is this really Des Moines? Like, is this really what it's like living in Des Moines? And I just was like, I was just super surprised at just how much of it, and it's like that a lot. Like, there's always something like that happening that makes you just wonder why you're living in a community where this type of stuff doesn't seem to bother anybody. It's just the South Side, that's just a little bit. Oh, that's a good one. Let me see if we can't switch to that here. You guys are going to have to forgive me. I'm looking away because she's actually doing something different today with the computer, so I can't look directly in front of me. I'm actually only seeing the browser side of things. I can't even see the OBS, so bear with me here just a second. She's got a cute picture of her and her sister when they were kids. I think it's cute, and let me see if I can't pull that up here for you real quick. Yeah. Yep, perfect. Let me see if I can guess who's who. I think you're the girl on the left in the top picture, and the one on the right in the second. Am I right?
Yes, I'm the one in blue, and then the one in the striped shirt.
Yeah. Okay, I'm doing good. How old were you when that photo was taken? Do you know?
That was elementary school.
Do you remember what grade?
No, because it was like a small town general store. My guy had set up an appointment for someone to take pictures of me and my sister.
Well, I will tell you, you guys looked very cute as kids. That is adorable. That legitimately is adorable. So, do you have anything else you kind of wanted to say about that? A little bit of background, like maybe about your sister, how your childhood was, growing up with her?
She was the troublemaker. I was the good kid, considered the good child.
And actually meeting her, I can definitely tell you that she was definitely the troublemaker. Absolutely. Yeah. There's some family dynamics there, and everybody's got their dynamics. And I don't necessarily, oppose or anything with her sister. I try to stay on her good side because I know what happens when you get on her bad side. And but yeah. So okay, so this next one that she's got pulled up here was the guy in the middle was her brother Robert. We just saw him a couple weeks ago. Let me see if I can switch. There we go. Perfect. And he is a little older than I am. I think he's 36 now, right?
Yes.
Okay. And obviously that's your sister all grown up and you all grown up. You don't look much different. No, I'm being flattering, I know, but humor me. When was your brother married, honey? I don't remember. I'm trying to remember the wedding now, and I can't.
Look, according to this, a year before us.
Oh, that's right. They did get married a little before us, didn't they? In 2014.
Yes.
Okay. And then they have. Oh, there's a fun story. Tell them about their daughter and the relation to our son.
They're born the same week, just 2 days apart
So
from each other.
So when was that? When would that have been? About what timeline?
So, 4 years ago. Well, it'll be almost 4.5 years ago. Come this October. I mean, his wife, which is my sister-in-law, both of us got pregnant not too far from each other. I actually got pregnant after she did, but with some other complications, I ended up giving birth to our son about a month early. And with my new niece, she was right on track, just born 2 days after our son.
Oh, hey, did you see the comment? I had to kind of take a little peek at it. Did you see it?
The comment in the post, yes.
Oh,
wait.
I thought that was cute. No, I was talking about that one. But hey,
this one, okay.
Meg commented too. But hey, Meg. But yeah, that was the wedding for her brother and all that. And so her family. So what's interesting is I think her family was actually a little bit tighter knit than mine. And okay, yep. Now comes the part that she really wants to share. The day that I will never forget. Although it did come by kind of sad. So let me go ahead and switch over here. So, yeah, there we go. So this was the day of our wedding, and Raven, before coming, I don't know what that face is. What is that face? What was going on in that picture?
But she was just excited to see me, so we just posed for a picture.
Do you have any other wedding photos that you want to show someone real quick? I'm just curious. We got a few of them, folks. Oh, yeah, the guy on the left who is... I'll let you say it. Oh.
That's my dad.
So he is legally blind because of diabetes. And the girl in the back in the blue, that was our maid of honor.
My college friend.
Brittany. Yeah. We had a few other people from our church and all that. And but yeah, that was, also kind of the day there. And Steve and I, okay, so the interesting thing, so we were really kind of getting into the Christian lifestyle about 2014 is when, I started to learn about Christ seriously rather than on and off beforehand. And then 2015 is when I was baptized and became a Christian. So, so, and one of the requirements we had before I could marry Raven, this is something our pastor asked, because Raven and I, we lived together, which wasn't right. And, there was a lot of things that should have been done differently, and I do regret that. But one of the things we had to do was we actually had to get his blessing. All right. So we are running a little bit low on time. I wanted to give Raven the benefit here of actually being able to talk. So that's why I spent a little bit extra time there. So here's the bottom line, folks. So here's what I want you guys to know. So when you are when you look at me as a host and you're looking at me in the show and you hear me give an opinion, and if you think it seems a little bit sensationalized or a little bit too dramatic, just know a lot of that I'm doing because I want you guys to be excited about the issue. I want it to stir a little bit of emotion. But at the bottom of everything, once you dig into my line of thinking, how I think and why I think the way I do, that's where you're going to see this opinion of mine come from. It comes from, a family that did care. It comes from a broken family. It comes from two broken families. Actually, Raven's family was, her mom and dad were divorced, just like mine were. But we also have a lot of similarities and stuff. So, I think that it's one of those things where we try to be a little bit wholesome here, but we can't deny that we are Christians. So you pretty much know what you're going to get when I talk about issues of, same-sex marriage, transgender, things like that. But understand that I'm always willing to listen. Just like I'm willing to wait and listen for Raven, even though she's not the most, excited about being on air. It comes from a good place. It comes from a place of patience, and I want to listen. I like to listen to others. I like to understand their viewpoint and their line of thinking, and let them explain to me why they believe or think a certain way. And I do that, and I hope that means something to you guys. I hope that it encourages you. You'll never see me deviate if it has to do with Christianity and my faith, but at least I'm willing to give you the platform to listen and not be super in your face about it, right? Even though that I know we're both going to disagree, I still want to listen and hear you out and let you kind of have that expression to me and not feel like judged by me directly that I'm closed-minded or that I don't think clearly or I'm not willing to look objectively at things. In a lot of ways, I am. I mean, there's certain things regarding race relations and other really hot-button topics, that you might be surprised at some of the viewpoints I have, and I feel biblically grounded in them. I feel like they're sound from the studies and understanding that I have. And just know that there's a lot of love, there's a lot of patience that comes out from me and my wife, and we have our beautiful son, a 4-year-old. I don't think we ever got a picture of him on here, so actually he is in the photo in the thumbnail though, so just so you know, he is there. But he is our joy, but he's also the thing in our life that requires the most patience. I can program something. I can tell a code what to do. I can push a button and get on air and talk to you guys. But getting a human being to do what you ask them to do simply because you ask them to do takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, and training and carrying up them. And I vow, and Raven vowed, that we wouldn't be a broken family. Her and I, the word divorce, it's not even really in our vocabulary. It's not anymore. In our early marriage years, we weren't the best, but I've vowed to, I'm not bringing up that D word anymore, right? It's not going to happen. And we're in this. We're committed to the long haul. And I'm committed to the show. I'm committed to you guys. I really want this to grow. I want this to mean something to you. I want you guys to be excited for the weeks to come. I hope that this show will bring a middle voice to a lot of things. I hope that this will demystify some things about, Christianity and the Christian faith. I'm not a preacher. I don't feel like I'm qualified to preach. I certainly never went to seminary. I don't do as well in apologetics as I'd like to, and you'll have to look that up if you don't know what that means, but I'd like to get better, right, at that. But at the same time, I want people to understand that I watch a lot of news, and I work for a news station as an engineer, but I still listen to it. And I can't tell you that, that I 100% agree with everything, my station says. But what I can tell you is that I listen to it, and I listen to it with eagerness. And then I go in to listen to another station. I go and watch and read another article. I go and look, and I try to find the most independent way to look at this. I don't want the spin. I don't want the slant. I just want to know what happened. I want to know the facts. And I want to understand the facts in a way that's logical, humanistic, and then be able to come on here and convey that through a logical thought process. And then at the end, you hear the opinion, and then you're like, I get it. I don't agree with you, but I get it. And then at the same time, I want to have this show be the platform that you guys are able to talk to me, even directly. And I want to be that voice. And I want to, if there's issues going on that you think I should talk about from this perspective, let me know. But the Lofton family and the Wine family, as it were, we're both connected now. We're joined as one. We are one family now. And all sides of this, we all believe this, and I want you guys to know that. So everyone who's going to be involved with this show is this is what we're grounded in. This is what we believe. This is what we understand. And I think that there's some things to say about what's going on, and I hope that they bring you some comfort in the end. And I hope that it starts a conversation that's different, that doesn't involve having to shout at each other. It doesn't involve having to resort to backhanded comments and all of that. I just want you guys to see a linear thought of a point of view and be able to then dissect that thought and then bring in other thoughts and sort of encapsulate the whole thing. Now, the one thing I do want to say about our family is we're not perfect. We've said and done a lot of things that we wish we wouldn't have. I know early on in my adult years, 21, I did a lot of things 21-year-olds do. Having the freedom to go and drink alcohol, I had no self-control in that regard. And I got drunk plenty of times, stupid drunk, and stupid just out of my mind. And I really regret those days. They're hard to talk about. And going even further back, in my teenage years, I went through a lot of mental health struggles. I went through a lot of anxiety, depression, paranoia, and those things. And they got me into a lot of trouble back then. And I'm glad I moved on from those things, because I'm glad that I trusted that life would get better. And now look, I've got a house, I've got a wife, I've got a beautiful son, and we have, families still that they don't necessarily live close by, which they did. But we have our church and a group of people there who love us and care about us just like family. And we couldn't ask for anything else. We really couldn't. And so I want you guys to know that about us. And, Raven and that, I'm sure she has some regrets, but I'm not going to speak on her behalf, unless she wants to. But I hope you guys understand, though, that we are the way we are for a reason, but we're also a family that loves and care about each other. I'm trying to think what else I can, kind of talk about. One thing that a lot of people ask us is, how'd you guys meet? Well, I'm going to give you a one sentence answer. A crowded lunchroom and a really tough pork chop. That's about all you guys need to know about how we met. You might deduce what happened from there. No, I'll elaborate a little bit. So back then I hadn't had my eye surgery that I did in 2014. And when I got the eye surgery, my vision got better. But before then I was considered legally blind. And unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to go back in that direction, unless God supersedes that, which he could. But right now, I don't drive anymore. I lost my license last year. But back then I had a seeing eye dog. And he was the best dog ever. Okay. But one of the challenges was I needed help kind of carrying trays, because having a moving animal beside you, they don't move evenly. And so, that was one of the struggles, is just, kind of holding things that can spill, like your cup or plate and stuff. So I would have someone help me. Anyway, long story short, it was really crowded in the lunchroom that day, and the cafeteria at college back in 2009, give you some perspective there. And all I said to the person who was helping me was, just put me with someone who looks nice. Well, Raven happened to score the only table that didn't have anybody sitting at it. And my intention was just to eat and get out. And honey, wasn't that your intention too?
Yep.
Just eat, get out. I was I had a little bit of a scholarship to be a production manager for the college radio station back then. And I was just tired. I was filling in other spots that other people were supposed to do. And it was just bad. But that's how we met. And we've been together for 12, 13 years, right?
12.
12 years now. It'll be 13 this September. All right. So that's all the time we have today, folks. I hope you got a little bit about the family here. Again, my name is John Lofton, and my lovely fiance or wife back then. See, I'm back then. That's how my logic is. Anyway, I'm going to correct that. My fiance. I said that back then. I'm put my mind is put back in 2014 now. It really is. But my wife Raven, on behalf of us, we want to thank everybody for watching and listening, and we hope you guys will tune in every Sunday at 4 p.m. Central. We typically haven't missed a Sunday yet, and enjoy. So until next time, guys, thank you so much, and as always, God bless.